Hello, hello. Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
How is everybody? Welcome to Rockingham Radio. This is Magda at Coach Your Mindset.
Paulina at Coach Your Mindset. I'm Psycho Magda today.
Well, yeah, this is me. This is who I am. This is how I roll sometimes. So, what can you do? You gotta go with it, isn't it?
So, how did you feel after last week? Hopefully everything was good.
Yes, so last week we were on hope. And yes, hope, very nice word. So this week we actually have a really cool word as well. So we are on letter I, which is inner child, inner voice.
Inner self.
Yes. So what is that exactly? Inner child, inner voice, inner self. I think, we're all like born with it. When we are children, it's kind of like the strongest, I think. You know, as a child, like you always speak your mind and you do what you want to do. You kind of follow that. And as we kind of grow up, we forget, or we are kind of like molded into something different, and we learn different ways, and sometimes we don't listen to the inner voice, and we forget about our inner child as well. So we neglect it a bit, and it's always with us. It doesn't go away. So it's something that is really good to consider.
Well, Moonday related to I feel. Definitely, it's the fact that as a what you mean by experiences and stuff. I think what we experience in life in a way limit us because we don't let go.
Yeah.
And in that way we forget how to be playful and fearful and fearless. And because something happened when we were children, which we haven't let go, we didn't forgive. It's the suppression of the emotions. Then directly influence our connection within our core, within our inner self. And that is to do with our past experiences. So then you become much more connected to your head, to what you want to achieve, than what you feel is right for you, because that's all what you know. Yeah. And I think that's the problem, that we growing up and we think we can't have that childish part of ourselves, no?
Yeah, maybe it's like we need to behave for our age or something like that.
But, yeah.
But keeping in touch with your inner child, actually your inner voice, your inner intuition, your inner self, it's actually the best way to go, because it's kind of indicating you as well the way to go. So it gives you ideas and clues what you should do. It's not like you need to think like it's like a childish behavior, but sometimes you actually need to be a little bit like a kid, you know, and that keeps you younger as well.
Definitely. And I think that's when we're dealing with the children, and parenting, and making sure that we actually accept, and we actually we are considerate of children's opinions, and we let them voice their needs, and because we can learn a lot from children.
Yeah, like
children, and we don't realize that because they speak their mind. They don't suppress what they say. Well, after a while they do, because the minute when they want to open and we close them, then that's where they stopped talking. And I think that's where we're growing up into the adult of being insecure about something, or anxieties come from there. Yeah. Because as a children, we couldn't verbalize our feelings, our emotions, what we were going through. And it's quite similar. Like, for example, let's say for me, my childhood, when I was growing, like if I was suppressing whatever, I couldn't talk about what's happening within me. So then automatically that put that kind of mask, which become part of me. Yeah. So I wasn't fake. It was just me covering up what I really felt. And yes, if you feel uncomfortable next to somebody or next to a situation, or if there is a trigger, there all those emotional triggers are our indicator that there is our inner child, which is in pain, and it needs our direction and our help.
Yeah, so maybe you can actually think about how did you deal with your emotions when you were young, when you were a child, and how do you actually feel when you think about that period, and when you actually connect to your inner child, your true self, how do you feel, in that moment? Because Moonday is all about the emotions, so it would be, I think, very nice to concentrate on that and kind of direct this day into there, because I think it can be very liberating as well to explore your inner child, your inner voice, because that voice kind of tells you what it actually wants from life, how it feels like. And sometimes I feel like we suppress it, or like you say, we don't really listen to it. So
this is connected to I always wonder, because I think that our inner child is our, like, if we heal, then we speak through our heart. So I think like when the suppressed emotions are there, they're destroying the connection between our mind and our heart. Because then we go into stomach instead of to our heart. So we then go into our lower chakras, where we're supposed to stay in the heart chakra. You see, this is why this is here, exactly in the middle. It's supposed to be like in the channel. I was thinking if to do it here, but then it would look weird, because really like where was our channel is actually exactly on our third chakra. But then if in the third chakra, that's where the self-esteem comes from. And that's where the confidence comes from. So, for example, if you don't say how you feel, you then lose your confidence of being who you truly are. What do I mean?
Yeah, but when I was, for example, when I didn't express, or when I sometimes don't express myself in that way, that intuition, what it tells me in my inner child, in a way I'm kind of going against myself, and I don't listen to myself. So maybe, in a way, it's not really good, because you're suppressing something that maybe you want, or something that's not good for you. You should voice out, and you don't do it. So that's, for example, how it worked for me.
And that's where the anxiety comes.
Because you feel like maybe you don't want to do something, but you still do it anyway. You don't voice that voice is telling you.
Your needs.
That voice is saying to you like, do you know what? You don't want to do it. And you're like, but I'm still doing it. And then it's inside, it's like, why? It's like a cry, why? So.
Yeah, definitely. That comes to the point where we were talking about the we're talking something connect about like this connection in between one and another. Then like if you constantly stay in your head, that's not going to be good. If you constantly stay in your emotions, it's not going to be good. But the thing is about acknowledging the thoughts, acknowledging the emotions, and understanding that they are like energy. And this energy arrived there into your trigger in order for you to work on it. So instead of suppressing it or suppressing it or ignore it, is the same as a suppression. Because suppressing is ignoring. No? That would be, because you just ignore it. But you don't really ignore it, because you know what's happened with before you go to bed.
You did. Well, if you have loads of thoughts and there's like you can't fall asleep, maybe there's nothing on your mind, but you feel like wide awake. What's keeping you awake?
And then that's like informations.
That information goes around.
From all the day are coming from them. Just for example, in the morning, like you went there and then you argue with somebody, you haven't clarified the situation, or you haven't argued with somebody, but you just suppressed it. Either way, because for me, I don't suppress. I exhale too much. So like I outburst, and that's what I do. I had a problem with anger. So for me, it was, what happened is that I had burst at somebody, or I put my anger at somebody, or I was like too strong or too upfront. Then what comes to me, it's a guilt.
After. Too intense,
And then for other person, for example, which is more sensitive in that way, as in reacting to it more sensitively, it could become quiet. Someone can become quiet.
For me, I was becoming silent, for example.
So, and that it's to do with social anxiety then, because you're automatically not verbalizing what you feel. So that stays with your body. And on that place where that emotion stays, all the emotions are collecting. And that's why we got, like, for example, overweight in certain parts of the body, because we don't verbalize that. So if you think, like, for example, you struggle with the weight, maybe it's not only what you eat, but it's really what you think about when you eat or you don't eat, or how you feel about doing it, and what kind of pattern of the thoughts you created within yourself. So every day, like, I remember when I had a problem with weight, it was like I felt guilty after eating this, and this is what creates, no?
It kind of powers that up. So definitely. So so then if we go on to Tuesday, on to Boost Day, Mars Day, you can ask yourself, how do you make sure that your inner voice is heard? How do you give power to it? Do you actually do it? Do you listen to that inner voice, or like Paulina said, then later on, does it gather somewhere within you? All the emotions or the things you're suppressing or ignoring, it just kind of creates that kind of weight on you. For example, for me, like, I used to not verbalize many things, and I thought everything is okay, because I thought that being assertive and saying no is a kind of like creates conflict.
So for example, she was doing something, I asked her, and she could say no, but she still said that she will do it. but then she couldn't keep up, and then I could feel the pressure in the air. So I came up to Magda and I said, why you didn't tell me that you can't do it? But I could do it. No, as you can see, you are stressed or you're not keeping up. I don't want you to do something if you can't do it. And no, I can do it. And then she got upset. She went to the room and she was sitting, I remember like today, she was lying down in this bed and I came to her and I said, Magda, like, what's going on? Like, why is the problem? Like, I don't want you to do things you can't do or you don't want to do. And then we started to have like an intense conversation, and suddenly she just literally blew up, like she was like red, and then she just cried, and she just cried for like 12 minutes or whatever.
Very specific.
I don't know, it just came to me, or whatever, 10 minutes. And then like it's all came out. And then we could like, okay, so after when that comes down, then you feel like relieved and you don't have to.
Yeah. So I think I have.
It was always like this, no?
Yeah.
That you don't, people like, I make people cry, but I actually don't, because people suppress it, and that's why you release.
So intense, and then you release. It's like a relief.
Yeah. That's why no one like really struggle around me, because I don't let people stay in a bubble. It's like a bubble. It's like you're like an inflate balloon.
Yeah.
And then you like, I actually want to even draw, like, for example.
So I have a very nice quote for that, how we said. It's actually, I think, very connected. Like when you care for your inner child, you listen to it, it's very connected to healing. So Martha Beck said, caring for your inner child has a powerful and surprisingly quick result. Do it and the child heals. So I think it kind of can be seen in that way, that it's kind of like a healing process as well, which is really cool, I think. So
there is a human.
Let's see Paulina's drawing skills.
No.
Looking forward to it. So basically for our radio listeners, she's drawing like a smiley face. Yes, I'm not gonna look. I'm gonna give her a moment.
I just want to see the bubble. I want to show that bubble.
Yeah. So the little creature has like a human, very thin hands. It's got a little bit like a belly. And yes.
If you look at this, if I look at that kind of person, I know it's like a bee in the ball, it doesn't matter. It's like, if you look at this person, you know that between their chakra 1, 2, and here.
So it's like a pear-shaped body, like more or less.
It's 1 second and third chakra blocked, because if your body gets weight in those places underneath or your belly, that means that there is lack of your security. Then there is lack of your confidence, so it's to do with your stamina of sexuality and acceptance of who you are. And then you're going into your mind, from your belly to your mind, which is the isolation, really, because in the third chakra, when there is an inner child, that's where the social anxiety pop in, and that insecurity comes from the third chakra, but it needs to go first from lower. So it's all based on your fear. And that was all connected. So if you see like I used to always have like literally belly from here to here. That was my biggest blockage. Because it's like that's where all the things are collecting. So then that's why from I feel to I do, between Monday and Tuesday, you accept the feelings. And when you have accept the feelings, then there is a thought coming on Tuesday. And before you start to run away after that thoughts, make sure you ground yourself.
Yes, that's a very good way of saying it. So like to sum everything up, so on Monday, Moonday, so think about your emotions, how you were dealing with them when you were young. See your inner child, how you were as a kid, What
was your trigger when you were a child? That could be a trigger now, and could be to do with your parents, your family, your siblings, your first love and things like that. That's going to be connected to that. It's going to be always connected to relationship with others and to someone you love.
And on Tuesday, Boost Day, how do you make sure that your inner voice is heard? How do you give power to it? So do you listen to your inner intuition? Ask yourself that and answer that question. How do you actually, when you sometimes have that voice in the back of your head saying to you, like, maybe you shouldn't do this, or maybe you should do it the other way around, it kind of indicates for you what's the good thing. And sometimes that voice is very quiet and we just kind of like, I don't really hear anything.
That voice is always there, we just don't. You just suppress it.
Yeah, you don't listen to it. So.
But the thing is that voice can be also wrongly tuned. It's like a radio. maximum volume is not going to be always right. It's so you may screaming for help. You may that inner voice could be related to someone else's energy, but that's where you need to understand it. Like if you give yourself time to get to know your inner self, your inner talk, you don't even need to react on that straight away or do something with it, but understand it and surrender. We're going to talk about this on Wednesday as well, the communication of surrendering.
Yes. Thank you very much for joining us today, and have a lovely Moonday
Be good.
and BoostDay. Ciao.
Ciao.